Hey there, how many times you saw a fair value gap getting filled? Countless, right? But do you know that you can still use a fair value gap even when it gets filled? And when it does that, we call it inversion fair value gap or reclaimed fair value gap. In this video, we will explore this unique strategy that allows you to turn a failed fair value gap into a profitable trading opportunity. So buckle up and get ready to learn to make the most out of your trading using this inversion fair value gap or reclaimed fair value gap. Let's go. So guys, before I take you through our first example, let's talk about the basic rule of a fair value gap and how we ICT trader want to see price reacting from a fair value gap. So in an ideal fair value gap, you want to see price closing a candle's body. Okay, if you are expecting a strong short below the midway and the lower quadrant, if you are expecting a strong long above the midway 0.5 and the upper quadrant 0.75. What do I mean by that? So that's the CB right here, right? And if we are expecting a strong short from this CB, what we don't want to see is that price coming up and closing candle's body above the midway and the upper quadrant. So if I measure the fair value gap like this, right, what I want to see is price coming up, right, hitting the midway but not closing candle's body above that. If price does not do that, what do we expect? We expect to see price remaining heavy towards the sell side. It goes same for the BC. You can see a BC right here. If I measure the BC like this, what I want to see is price not closing a candle's body below the midway and the lower quadrant for a BC. If price does not do that, and suppose price is just coming here, not closing a candle's body below the upper quadrant, we want to see price remain heavy towards the buy side, right? And when price fails to do that, we use the same fair value gap as an inversion, and we will talk about it in our first example. So let's go. So folks, let's dive into our first example, and in this example you can see that I'm measuring this swing here from this low right here to the high, and I'm only using a candle's body. Why? Because in a candle's body, that's where most of the liquidity is. Wicks that you see in a candle, that does the damage. That's the reason I'm only using a candle's body. And you can see that in this example, price is now in a discount zone right here, and it also hit a fair value gap right here, and this fair value gap is a BC. And do we have a target here, right? If we are looking for buy from this BC, right, do we have a target? Yes, we do have a relative equal high here. And if our fair value gap is valid, what do we expect to see? How do we know a fair value gap will provide support for price, right? We measure the fair value gap, and if it's a BC, we expect to see price not closing a candle's body below the midway and the lower quadrant right here, right? So let's see what price does here. So you can see that price did not close the candle's body below the upper quadrant here. So what do we expect? We expect to see price remaining heavy towards the buy side, right? And you can see a CB right here. I want to see this CB getting filled and working as an inversion in this example. That's the CB right here. And now the price got support from this BC, which is on discount level, right? I want to see this CV getting filled, and once it gets filled, we can use it as an inversion. So let's see what it does. So you can see that price here close the candle's body above the midway, right? So if this CB was a valid CB, that's what we don't want to see. We don't want to see price closing a candle's body above the midway, but price did it here. So what do we expect? We expect to see price remaining heavy towards the buy side as we have a relative equal high right here. Now the price closed the candle's body above the CB right here. This CB got failed, right? So now we can use it as an inversion right here. So this CB right here, it failed, right? If price closed the candle's body above the midway, and then it closed the candle's body here above this fair value gap. So we are not expecting price to get short from this in fair value gap here, and we can use it as an inversion right here. So once price closes a candle's body above a failed fair value gap, you can engage at the second candle. So suppose I'm gonna take a long here. My entry would be here. Once price comes down and hits this inversion fair value gap again, I will enter and I will put my stop loss below this candle here. So let's see what price does, and we will target 2R. So you can see that price moved aggressively towards the buy side, right? And price did not hit our inversion level again yet. So I'm just gonna wait. And you can see that price did hit our inversion level right here, and price is very aggressive. So I can engage at this candle right here. And what do you see? Price remained heavy towards the buy side after it got order from this inversion. And you can see that how aggressively price was moving towards the buy side after it got support from this inversion. So guys, I'm in a replay mode. If you are trading live, you will have enough chance to enter in these candles, and price will give you enough chance. Okay, in between a candle here opens and closes, you will get enough chance to enter and take this trade. So you can see that how price used this failed CB to get support towards the buy side, right? And it was aggressive. By our rule, if price closes a candle's body above the midway and the upper quadrant, what do we want to expect? What do we want to see? We want to see price remaining heavy towards the buy side, and that's what we saw here. So folks, let's dive into our second example, and in this example you can see that price cleared a major level of buy side liquidity right here. That's a buy side liquidity, and price took it, and at the same time price generated relative equal lows down here. That's a relative equal low right here, and that's our internal sell side liquidity right here. So now I'm gonna share a tip with you guys. We all know that once price takes out a major swing high, we expect to see a short, right? We expect to see price hunting sell side liquidity now. But how do you know price is gonna hunt sell side liquidity? Because I can see that price took a major level of buy side liquidity here, but did price move towards the sell side immediately? No, price was coming up, took another buy side liquidity here, then generated another level of buy side liquidity, then took it, right? So how do you know that price will fail to provide support towards the buy side liquidity and will hunt sell side liquidity? Once price generates a fair value gap like it did here, let me mark it for you. That's a fair value gap right here, and that's a BC. Once price does generate a BC after taking out a swing high, you want to see price closing a candle's body below that fair value gap. Okay, once it does that, once price does that, that's when you know that price is now in a program and it will hunt sell side liquidity. So what I'm expecting to see in this example is that price closing a candle's body below this fair value gap as price took a major swing high, right? So by our rule, we want to see price closing a candle's body below this fair value gap, this BC. We don't want to see price providing support in this BC. So what do you see here? Price closed the candle's body below this fair value gap, right? Below this inversion, below this BC. So now it becomes a inversion fair value gap. And now the price closed the candle's body below the inversion, we can engage at the second candle and we can target this swing low right here, these two swing low right here. So we will engage at the second candle and it will be something like this. Our stop loss will be above this swing high right here, and we will target 2R from here. You can see that this candle, the second candle that it opened, it got support towards the sell side from this inversion. So I will engage here, and our target is this internal sell side liquidity, right? And what do you see here? Price came up, right? Did price close the candle's body above the midway of this fair value gap? If I measure this BC right here, what do you see? Price came up, right? But did not close the candle's body above the midway and above the lower quadrant. So what do we expect? We expect to see price remaining heavy towards the sell side, right? That's a signal from price that it wanna remain heavy towards the sell side. So let's see what it does. And you can see that price was aggressively moving towards the sell side after not closing a candle's body above the inversion fair value gap, right? Price took a major swing high right here, and after that price delivered buy side liquidity couple more times, right? And then it generated a BC right here, and after that price closed the candle's body below the BC. Now we know that price is in a program to hunt sell side liquidity. So when do we engage? We engage at the second candle after price closes a candle's body below the inversion fair value gap, right? Once that's a BC, so it got failed as price closed the candle's body below it, and we engage at the second candle using it as an inversion, right? I engaged here, and what do you see? Price came up, got support from this inversion fair value gap, and did not close the candle's body above the midway and the lower quadrant. So what do we expect? We expect to see price remaining heavy towards the sell side, and you saw it, price was really aggressive towards the sell side, and you can see that price ultimately came down and cleared this swing low right here. And if you were targeting till down here by using this inversion, so folks, let's dive into our third example. And in this example you can see that price took a swing high right here, and that's a BC right here. So by our rule, what do we want to see? We want to see after price takes out a swing high, we want to see price closing a candle's body below a fair value gap, right? So that's a fair value gap here, and that's a BC. What we don't want to see is price getting support from it, because we have targets right here. We have an unfilled fair value gap right here, and then another unfilled fair value gap right here, and we know that price hunts only two things, okay? Liquidity and imbalance. So now that we saw a unfilled fair value gap right here, we can target it, and we can expect to see price getting filled from this BC, right? We don't want to see price getting support from this BC. We want to see price failing from this BC, and we want to use it as an inversion. So now let's see what price does. You can see that price got support from this BC, but at the same time, if I measure this BC, if I zoom in a little bit, that's a very small BC right here. But if I measure it, you can clearly see that price closed the candle's body below the midway and the lower quadrant. So what do we expect? We expect to see price remaining heavy towards the sell side. So let's see what price does. So you can clearly see that price came down, moved aggressively, and closed the candle's body below this fair value gap. And now that price closed the candle's body below this BC, right? This BC got failed and it became an inversion, and now we can use this inversion to take trades, right? So we engage at the second candle. Once price takes out a swing high, we wait to see a fair value gap getting failed, and a fair value gap right here got failed, and price did close the candle's body below the inversion, and we wait for a second candle to open, and then we engage. And you can see that here price opened the second candle, and it was aggressive towards the sell side. So the idea will be something like this, and the stop loss will be right here above the candle's high, and our target will be 2R, right? Guys, I'm in a replay mode. I'm telling you guys again, if you are trading live, you will have enough chance once price comes up, right, takes order from this inversion fair value gap and then goes down, you will have enough chance to engage. So let's see what price does. You can see that price delivered to us 2R and more than that. And if you are holding this trade, suppose you didn't got a chance to enter this candle, right? Enter the second candle. This second candle was very aggressive. Suppose you got in late and you were targeting 2R, or suppose you were targeting this unfilled fair value gap here to get filled completely, and you can see that price came down and filled this fair value gap nicely after getting failed from this fair value gap, right? We use this fair value gap as inversion and to take a trade, and price delivered nicely, beautifully. So guys, let's dive into our fourth example, and in this example you can see that price is generated equal high, right? That's a high here, that's another high here, so these two highs are relatively equal. And what price is doing right now? Price came down, right? Got support from this fair value gap right here, and we do have a CB right here. So what we don't want to see is price getting support from this CB towards the sell side. As we have an equal high right here, we want to see this CB getting failed, and after that we can take a trade using it as an inversion. So let's see what price does. And you can see that here price closed the candle's body above the midway and the upper quadrant. That's what we don't want to see from a CB, right? If a CB is valid, we don't want to see that. And if price does that, what it indicates to us, it indicating that price wanna remain heavy towards the buy side. So once price closes a candle's body above the CB, this CB becomes the inversion. Now we can look for trade using this inversion, right? How do we engage? What's our rule? Once price closes a candle's body above the inversion fair value gap, we engage at the second fair value gap. So the trade idea will be something like this. Our entry will be here and our stop loss will be below this candle here, and we will target to R. You can see that price came down, right? Got support from this inversion fair value gap, and now let's see if price delivers to us to R. You can clearly see that price got support from this inversion fair value gap couple of times. So what does that mean? It's giving you chance to pyramid in your entry. Once price closes a candle's body above the inversion, you can engage at the second candle, and once price comes down to and hit the inversion again, you can pyramid in your entry. You can clearly see that how price got support from this inversion right here, right here, right at these candles. Price got support from this inversion beautifully, and it did gave us 2R. I hope you guys enjoyed my explanation, and if you did, hit the thumbs up. And that's it for today. I'll catch you guys in another explanation. Peace and take care.